Look at that guy. We don't have those in the East. That's a type of raven. It's in the corvid family. They're very smart birds. The common raven and all the corvids are very smart, intelligent animals. I noticed they kind of hang out with the prairie dogs. I'm not sure why. I can kind of guess that it probably has something to do with the sort of the protection of, there's a kind of some sort of like symbiotic relationship between the two species in alerting one another to dangers. And I don't know why else, and I don't know why I see them, I guess probably if you think about it, there's just the only place where there's really high trees is along the creeks, like over there where there's water and you get the cottonwoods. And so that would, if the birds just hung out where the high trees were, it would limit their ability to, to take advantage of all the food sources. And so in some way, shape, or form, there's a bunch of them over there, but that's also where the prairie dogs are. Of course, there's prairie dogs everywhere around here, but in some way, shape, or form, those two animals seem to have a good partnership. The prairie dogs and the ravens. I don't know what you call that kind of raven, but it's a beautiful bird. It's kind of got some blue and some white on it with the black. Yeah, I guess maybe, the prairie dogs are a intelligent little critter too. So, the ravens and the prairie dogs, they got some, there's another one. They've got some communication going on between them. But I do know yesterday when I was walking and the prairie dogs all started chirping, the ravens were also chirping, and the ravens, at least some of the ravens, were kind of on the ground right where the prairie dogs were on the ground, like together with them. And so they were all kind of looking for whatever threat, a snake or whatever it might have been. Probably hawks too. I would assume that's got something to do with it. They got some large red-tailed hawks and some other things out here, eagles, and the ravens are probably very sharp at seeing those and smart, and the birds of prey probably don't like messing with the ravens too much, and that might have a little bit of something to do with it also. But I could definitely see how the prairie dogs would have a lot of advantage of having the ravens around to kind of alert them to things, because obviously the ravens can fly and they've got really good eyesight and they can see things on the ground. But I can't understand as much as why the ravens would benefit from the prairie dogs. See, I'm sure there's a reason, but maybe it's because the prairie dogs are numerous and they're down on the ground and they have a good alert system. So maybe that might be part of it. So there's so many of the prairie dogs, and the prairie dogs all start barking when there's something going on. And obviously that might help the ravens get alerted more quickly, or it may also help the ravens communicate their message to the other ravens more quickly. In other words, because the ravens are more spread out and not as many of the ravens, if one raven sees something, alerts the prairie dogs, and then all the prairie dogs start chirping, then the other ravens hear the prairie dogs, so they're all kind of like one colony. You could just think of it like that, maybe. Oh, that's just guessing. Just my hypothesis. But that's the fun part of life, right? That's how we think through things. Like we start to form ideas and hypotheses, and that's probably about as far as I'll go with it. Other than it seems like such an obvious thing that I could probably just look it up and somebody's got an answer to that question. But that's what you want to do, you know, when you're looking at new things and interested in new things. That helps exercise your brain. It also helps you understand the environment. It's a way to start becoming more familiar with something, is to ask questions to yourself or to other people or as a group, and that in and of itself also has benefits. It's a way to learn. It's also an exercise in logic. So you practice it in one area, you start, you know, figuring out how to go through a problem solving process, and you can apply that into other areas of your life. So, but it's enjoyable to look at something and say, oh, why is that way? And then to try and think through why it might be. You don't have to be right. You just don't be so foolish to always think that you will be right. I think that's one of the things you got to be careful about, is just because we have a line of thought about something, that doesn't make us right, even if we feel like it's right. You know, we got to remember to test ideas and to look at other sources, and not to just take one thing from one small sampling and think that then can be applied to everything else. And that's why we also get into using things like statistics, which is a very interesting area of math. I think statistics is not taught enough to people when they're young, because it has such a big impact on the way that we can think about the world if we properly understand statistics, and vice versa, because a lot of people who like to influence other people know that a good chunk of the population has a poor understanding of statistics. It's easy to manipulate statistics to manipulate people. So that's another reason why learning about statistics is important, is to make sure that you're not easily fooled by people who use them in a bad way. And then there's also people who just use them in stupid ways. In other words, it almost gets the same effect as there's people who use statistics purposely to fool people, and then there's a lot of use of statistics that's just done because they're poorly applied. They're applied in the wrong way. So, and they get bad results, and then they influence society and individuals, and you hear the prairie dogs? Oh, there's one kicking up some dirt or something over there. Yeah. Prairie dogs are squawking. Oh, see, and there's those ravens. There's a little raven running around with the prairie dogs. The ravens and the prairie dogs. They're buddies. I can bet too that the prairie dogs, probably where they're turning over that soil, that might also create a good environment for little bugs and worms and things to crawl around in, which might be a good food source for the ravens. Another hypothesis, another guess. What do you think? There's those beautiful purple flowers. I still haven't posted those, all the other videos, just through my phone, but I had a good one, a really good picture of one of those purple flowers. Up close with the camera. The sun was shining on it just perfectly. And it just opened up. There's one that's not open. Hasn't blossomed. But yeah, it was like a couple of days ago. I was going right here on the edge of the trail. And it was just absolutely perfect. And so I'll put that one, I'll post all of these on YouTube soon. Hey, little prairie dogs. You guys dig a lot of holes. Oh, there's your raven friend. Oh well. Another afternoon, sitting behind a computer screen for most of the day. So, time to stretch my legs. Gotta move those legs, gotta get the blood flowing. All these purple flowers. Get some sunlight in your eyes, some fresh air. It's important. Oh, look, there's one right there. He's close. He or she. Are you a mama or a papa? Look, they just dug that hole. It wasn't here yesterday. You guys been doing some work over here? You could walk right over to him. Hey. Good afternoon, little prairie dog. Look at those things. A stoic little creature. On the lookout. Looks like he needs his belly rubbed. You need a belly rub, little creature? Go. Looking all around. Wow, I didn't realize this video was so long. Alright. Bye. I'm gonna take my walk. I love you.